Pace is dropped, and yes, we're back in the studio. Back home after traveling 8.5 hours from the workout room that we were in on Topsail. Pardon me, I have to fix the hair because Matt's hair looks better than mine already. And it's 7 o'clock in the morning where he is. Matt Pollard's going to join us in just a sec from Burgundy Wave. He's going to give us the intel on Colorado Rapids as they get ready to host Atlanta United. So 8.5 hours in a car, finally made it back. We're here. We're ready to go. All the things. All right, so here's the show. Matt's going to join us in a sec for opposition research. Bottom of the hour, Marty Jelleme, the head coach of Atlanta United Unified. It's been a very, very busy 6 weeks. We'll talk about everything that's gone on there, from Austin, an all-star, to Genuine Cup. Walk through that. Get ready for the back end of the home and home with Toronto FC on the 24th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Hour number 2 is the Power Hour with Nino and Niko. Nino Torres from GOLTV drops by. We tour the planet. I've got a surprise for him. We'll play that. Also, 10:30, final half hour of the show, Moreno from Pulso Sports, and from Sounder at Heart. He breaks down everything going on the West Coast. So now, without further ado, hot tag, hot change. Now, for the first time, because you'll remember, I think the real world had intervened last time, and we just got to hear Matt. And so he might have been on the ethereal plane. I don't know. But he was with us last time. We now actually get to see Matt because it's bright and blank and early in Colorado. Do I owe you like a big cup of coffee or Starbucks or something, Matt, for doing this at 7 o'clock in the morning?
Not much of a coffee drinker, if I'm being honest with you, John. So I'll take some London Fog maybe, or some matcha tea if you got something like that brewing up.
Okay, all right. I will forward. I will have our folks mail stuff to your folks. Me, I've never been a coffee guy. For me, it's Mountain Dew, and this is the boss's alma mater, so I just grab a plastic cup. So yeah, I'm a Mountain Dew guy. I've never been a coffee guy. That's just how I am. All right. First off, thank you for getting up at the crack of before dawn 30 to come on the show.
You're welcome. It is. I was talking. I podcasted last night with my co-host John. So for those who want to hear our full breakdown of what we think of Atlanta United so far and how excited we are, if nothing else, for Marcelo Balboa's jersey retirement after the full-time whistle on Saturday, holding the high line, should be up wherever you're getting your podcast, wherever you're listening to this, if you're not live. And we were kind of chatting about, obviously it's been a rough couple weeks for Rapids fans with the Georgie news, as we talked about last time I was on the show, John. Sunday was an injection of hope, and that is something Darren Yappy is very, very good at, as I'm sure we'll touch on. But we said after we were done recording, regardless of where the team's at, I'm really glad that the transfer window is going to be done next Thursday, because we're going to get some clarity. And then this isn't going to be like an every day, every minute, what's going on? What am I hearing? What did Tom Bogert tweet? Oh my God. I am relieved for the end of silly season next Thursday, and my primary focus going on to Saturday nights at Dick's Sporting Goods Park.
Well, and then also what you are wearing early this morning, because it is the beginning of the Premier League season, and we can discuss your Fulham as we get into it as well toward the end of the conversation. Now that Colorado, the Rapids, seems to have lost their DMs, how is Chris Armas communicating with the rest of the bunch?
I think he's done a really good job of helping the team move on from this. This was not something that they could dwell on. When Chris Armas has a lot of he has a lot of cliches that he likes to say. It'll be here before you know it, for example. I promise you that. He likes to talk about with forcing set piece opportunities and earning corners or penalties, forcing the coincidence. Calvin Harris will be attempting to force the coincidence against Brooks Lennon on Saturday. And so he has made a really big deal about circles of control, and this is obviously not something that he or any of the Rapids players could try and control. Chris Armas did try to talk Georgi Mihailovic out of leaving the club once or twice, but look, they can't dwell on it. Sitting there and being ho-hum and feeling sorry for themselves is not going to get this club a result on Saturday. That is not what got them the result on Sunday against Minnesota, and so they've done a very good job of, I think, processing that quickly and moving on, and they moved on in the form of a bunch of Rapids 2 kids going out and almost beating Cruz Azul, who are a very good Liga MX team. Some impressive performances there. Sidney Wathuta making his first team debut. And then they went on short rest at Minnesota, who are a very, very good team in MLS. The Rapids had not won a game on the road since the Ides of March 15th. And they went in there. It wasn't a super impressive performance at times. They absorbed a lot of shots. They lost the XG battle. John, I don't know how much you obsess over that. And they found a way to get a win. And they needed somebody to step up offensively with Georgie gone. And cometh the hour, cometh the yappy hour. Darren Yappy race.
Yes. So, all right. So, circles of control. I wrote that down.
Yes.
And then what's the one with coincidence?
Forcing the coincidence.
Forcing the coincidence. Okay.
Well, we're also talking, John. Chris Armas is originally from New York, and he's on the New York Jets side. He also refers to the area in and around the box closer in, so chopping off a part of the final third. The club internally refers to that as the red zone.
Ah, wow. Okay. So, see, we're going to have to bring all this stuff forward. Obviously, we did want to get into Yappy Hour, and our friend Casey White was on the call with Evan Weston, so we got a bit of a breakdown with that. Yes, we believe in hydration. Absolutely, we do. So I did not have Darren Yappy on my bingo card as the first one to initially step up and sit there and take charge in the score sheet. Let me go over the starting 11 and then against Minnesota United in the land of the quarter zip, and we'll go from here. So it was Zach Steffen in net, backline, Murphy, Moxu, and Noah Cobb. We will have Noah Cobb discussion. Vines, Bassett, Ladaz, and Reggie Cannon. I hope to God he's gotten paid from Boa Vista. And then it was Yappy Navarro and Calvin Harris. So that 11 gets trotted out against the land of the quarter zip and the white T-shirt and Eric Ramsey. What was your initial thought?
I was surprised. The biggest surprise was probably what was going on with the back line. We have seen at times that Armas has been willing to have more of a conservative fullback, usually on the left. That's often been Ian Murphy. There were injuries at the left back position earlier this year. So my first question was, is this a back three? Is this a back five? Turns out it ended up being the 3-4-3. John, this was something that we saw Chris Armas line up with in the second playoff game last year against LA Galaxy, and it worked really, really well to stymie Ricky Puig in the midfield. I think this back three was more about, you saw what Minnesota was going to do with their various wide players running into channels who have last names that are difficult for me as a white guy in America to announce. Halani Belongwe, Tolai Olawashehi. I think I got one of those four.
So it took me a while. Bongo Longwane. That's
okay.
Bongo Longwane and Tani Olawashehi.
Okay.
You were there. You're good.
Yes. So they wanted to be able to absorb that pressure. And we've seen at times Armas have the game plan of almost like the thing that we're willing to accept is the opponent coming 1v1 with us and us cutting down the angle, making a relatively easy save for Zach Steffen, or one of our players, one of our defenders making a play in a 1v1 situation. Whereas I think normally you would think that the goal would be to prevent that opportunity in the first place. And we've seen at times, particularly on the road, that's worked. This game looked very, very similar from the run of play to the road win at San Jose on March 11th, and then a few weeks prior, a 1-0 win at Minnesota United. This has also generally worked, I would say, against mid-table-ish teams. Minnesota sitting third in the Western Conference. I think they've outkicked their coverage. Seattle's right there. LAFC's got some games in hand. I do not think Minnesota finishes top four in the Western Conference. But then, Austin, San Jose, as much as they've got good attacking players up front, we've seen them struggle at times. So this is a very specific game plan for a specific opponent that ended up working. Do I think this works at LAFC or at Seattle? Absolutely not.
Zach's numbers, he was the highest rated on SofaScore, and this is what we'll use as our reference point. 9 saves, and they don't have a term for this, so I'm going to create one. XP, goals prevented.
Okay.
0.45. That's just a wild guess early in the morning on a morning show. 3 punch clears, 1 high claim, 6 inside the 18, 43 touches, 9 of 22 passing at 41%. Does Zach still have issues with the ball at his feet and wanting to go forward?
I would say that's an issue. This was one of the rare games, John, where the Rapids tried to bypass the midfield and get into transition. And so inherently there were more Zach's passes were more goal kick like. And so that's conducive to Rafael Navajo and Darren Yappy being very tall. That was also problematic because Michael Boxall was right there. And I think he was a little bit more aggressive with that. The Rapids midfield also, I think, did a really good job of stymieing them up the middle. So that was more let's kick it a little bit longer than we normally would. Zach's very good with his feet. That's the thing that Mauricio Pochettino really likes about him, potentially for the national team. Hopefully he's getting a call up in the next couple of months. But I'm not super worried about Zach's possession. I did want to touch on one other thing tactically, John. We have seen at times in moments of desperation or difficulty, Chris Armas tries something different tactically that us in the media and the fan base was not expecting, and it's generally worked out. The first time that we saw the 4-4-2, which had a nice moment for about a month, started in a home game against San Diego. Darren Yoppe started in that game. He scored in that game, and the Rapids got a massive 3-2 victory against what I could see possibly as the best expansion team of all time in Major League Soccer, with all due respect to 2017 Atlanta United. So we've seen Armas take big risks, and sometimes it's worked out massively. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that, because John, is what your listeners probably remember most for, is him fumbling the bag in the Eastern Conference Final against Atlanta in whatever year that was. I can't remember it off the top of my head. So Armas has come in and he's had big ideas and he said big statements, and he's gotten the team big on side with him after Georgi Mihailovic left, and they tried something different tactically. And Noah Cobb dealing with some physicality that was a bit of a struggle at one or two moments for him, notwithstanding, that they got to win, and they needed a win. The team absolutely got its teeth kicked in last week. I'm not going to nitpick a performance when the most important thing was just going out and getting a result.
Noah Cobb, since you went ahead and started reading my notes, full 90, 4 clears, 2 blocks, 4 picks, a tackle, a dribble pass, 3 for 6 on his duels on the day, fouled once, 51 touches, 26 of 35, passing at 74%. Your report card on Noah as he continues to integrate into what Chris Armas wants him to do.
I'll speak bigger picture, John, because I don't think it was just about the performance on Sunday. He also got the start in the Dead Rubber Leagues Cup game against Cruz Azul on Thursday, and then I've seen him a few times in training as well. I think he's still getting used to his teammates. I think the fact that there was a different tactical shift on Sunday with him being one of 3 center backs rather than in a back 4, I think gave him a little bit of difficulty early on in terms of spacing or the where everybody was when they were distributing out of the back. He had some trouble with that 1 or 2 times. He settled into the game as Sunday went along, and he got stuck in defensively, which I think was the most important thing that you needed from him. The big thing that stands out from me elsewhere is that he is really loud and he over communicates. We have seen that this is a back line that at times, mostly when Zach Steffen's been injured, to be fair, has struggled with reacting out of their out of their rest defense and reacting to that. Andreas Maxu speaks English as a foreign language. Cheeto Wazim, when we had him, speaks English as a foreign language. You have a couple midfielders who are a little bit quiet. This is a team that I think has been missing a Jack Price, a William Yarbrough, who, as I saw when it was, COVID and there were no fans in the stands, the Rapids had the 4 loudest players on the field before the opponent's head coach or the opponent's players. And so that was a team under Robin Fraser that over communicated. This is a team under Chris Armas, which I think has a little bit more similar patterns of play to where that might not seem necessary. Zach Steffen kicking it long, going down the left with Sam Vines, trying to be direct with Rafael Navajo. That can work, but they needed someone to over communicate. They needed someone to yell. And so maybe Noah Cobb, with some fresh eyes, seeing what's working and what's not, he's done a very good job communicating. We'll see what that means given the impending visa for Rob Holding, who was just signed from Crystal Palace.
I was going to ask about that. Any word on Rob Holding, but I think you've answered my question.
I do not expect. I did not get an update as of this morning, but my understanding is Rob Holding has not yet gotten his visa. At this point, John, the bigger concern is probably not him getting the visa in time to be available for Saturday, but what that means for him from a fitness standpoint, given he was coming from Crystal Palace preseason, playing at altitude in your first game, and whether or not he's had an opportunity to train. We are not all as elite as Hyunmin Sung, where we can just step off a plane from South Korea flying over the Pacific and get a draw at Chicago Fire.
Well, yes. And so you'll sit there and it's like, so where was your debut? Oh, it was in Chicago. No, sir, it was in Bridgeview. No, it was in Bridgeview at Sea. Trivia question. Where was your debut? Chicago. No, Bridgeview, Illinois. About an hour down the road. Matt Pollard hanging out with us, breaking down opposition research. Colorado Rapids getting ready to host Atlanta United on the weekend. When you look at the front, now that it is what it is, taking those 3 that were there, how would you look at the 3 that are going to be up top for Chris Armas, and what does each of them bring to the table that is different from the other, or is it 3 of the same just in different places?
I would say that they all bring something differently. We'll start with the big man, Rafael Navarro, rumors swirling around him and Fluminense, though that has gone quiet, and a week is a really long time for the various Brazilian outlets to not say anything about something that eventually happens. Look at his 2 performances that he had in 2 starts last week. This is a guy who looks bought in. He's getting stuck in with tackles. He's pressing and everything. Got the goal against Cruz Azul. The broadcast even said that Armas told them at halftime that Navajo was scheduled to be a halftime sub against Cruz Azul. Again, a dead rubber game. You could throw out Darren Yapi there, and he wanted to stay in. He wanted to help the team get another goal. And even though he did not score on Sunday, look at just the runs that he's making. Does this look like a guy who's not bought in? Does this look like a guy who doesn't want to be here or already has one foot back out the door on a plane back to Brazil? I would say no. That's very, very excellent. Darren Yapi, John, has just become, I don't know that there's a big game homegrown, at least in the striker position in MLS right now. If you look at it, Darren Yapi sitting on 6 goals and 2 assists and 13 starts this season. It's just now been 13 months since his first goal in Major League Soccer. He went a full year with the first team, not scoring a goal at all in 2023. And Rapids fans were wondering whether or not he's a bust. And you just look at, I've seen the growth in him from a hold-up play standpoint, from a pressing standpoint. He definitely takes pressure off Navajo when it's a front 3 with proper wingers. Hoffa's just matched up normally against 2 center backs, and he does really well against 2 center backs, but just there's plays where he's trying to muscle it out to win a loose ball that's not going anywhere, and he's just fighting with no help whatsoever. So Darren Yapi, starting particularly up top in a more central role, relieves Hoffa, or at least gets him some help on Rafael Navajo Island, which would be really, really helpful. And I think it's not just he's gotten better at pressing. He's gotten better at hold-up play. He's gotten a little bit more calm on the ball as well. Every single goal that he's scored, John, has been a big goal. The 3-3, go back and look at the highlights from the 3-3 draw with Seattle. The Rapids were dead in the water in that game, and they draw 2 quick penalties, and Yapi dribbles through the middle of the Sounders defense and then perfectly pings the ball, nutmegs a defender, beats Stefan Fry. There's 15 strikers in MLS who can maybe do that, and Darren Yapi is probably the only one making $80K this year. Yeah. So every single goal that Yapi has scored, they're increasingly getting more technically impressive, and then also they're being big goals in big games that lead to results. This is not getting a garbage goal when you're already down 3-0 and it's the end of the game and the defense maybe switches off or anything. These are goals that are getting the Rapids results. Having a big game homegrown on top of the forward who is a DP, who is not looking to leave this window, who is still being productive despite not having the other 2 DPs on the team anymore. That's really impressive. I assume the third that you're talking about, John, is Calvin Harris. So I'll just address quickly on him. More of a winger, likes to cut inside. He's been more direct this year, which has been really positive. And similarly, since we talked about how Yapi and Navajo are pressing monsters, defensive work rate is something that the coaching staff told him he needed to work on this past offseason. He worked on it through that. He got better on it as the season went along, even though he was mostly coming off the bench. That eventually leads to him beating out Kevin Cabral, who's not with the team anymore. And he's got the flair for the dramatic. He'll try and take on guys 1v1. He's a very creative striker. Still, I think, learning how to do that at the MLS level. But, if Calvin Harris is your third or your fourth most important attacking piece that you have in a starting 11, he's going to do really well. I'd love to see him get 8 to 10 goal contributions this year. I think he's on 5 or 6 at this point.
And I know that you're looking for, in a perfect world, anything involving Navajo Island to have an isthmus attached and not just be by itself where you're having to drop FedEx twice a week. What kind of a match are you expecting?
I'm looking for the Rapids to be more on the front foot. Armas has done a really good job of, I think, setting up, this is, we want to be good on the ball. We want to press. Let's focus on being good on the ball at home. Let's focus on pressing on the road. I think the team absolutely has to be feeling better about things after the win on Sunday. Rob Holding's visa on the way. Alexis Manyoma is official. Lucas Harrington, the young center back, though he won't join the team this year, is also official as well. I think they're looking at this as a home game that they should go out, control possession, be the protagonist in the game, and get a win. I believe I had 2-0 on the podcast last night. I think I said a Rafael Navajo goal, and I do like Ted Cuti-Pietro in this game as well. Him coming back from the shoulder injury, and I think being a little bit more direct, and I think him coming on later on in games when things are kind of already a mess is conducive to him doing stuff in transition. John, we like to make the joke that Ted is so direct and sometimes a little bit selfish on the ball that when he gets the ball at the top of the final third, he likes likes to Leroy Jenkins it. So look to see whether or not he'll be doing that against Brad Guzan.
Yes, I can definitely understand what can happen there. Two other things. Do you have your cello bobblehead?
I do not. The media, if the media are getting one, we haven't gotten it yet. There will be 2,000 of those that are handed out to the first 2,000 fans into the gates as well. Normally, they set aside that kind of thing from a media standpoint, so I will have to ask about that. I've gotten to interact with Marcelo Balboa so much. I've gotten so many good moments with him from a media standpoint and a humanity standpoint as well, John. He is so kind and so generous with any Rapids fan who recognizes him when he's at King Supers in Boulder, or when he's just out and about in the stadium, or if they show up to training because they're trying to get, an autograph from Cole Bassett or something. There's another fan who getting that bobblehead will be more meaningful to them than me, who gets to interact with him on a regular basis. But I'm happy that Cello's getting his flowers. Absolute legend when it comes to the U.S. men's national team and the Colorado Rapids. I thought they did a really good job, John. It's kind of a question of how do you do a bobblehead from a screenshot of a moment in which the guy's not in the air unless the bobblehead's not attached to the base or whatever. So they did a really good job with that. They nailed his ponytail. And I can't wait to watch that goal highlight, 10 times this weekend.
And Cello is set to join us tomorrow morning at 10 Eastern, so we'll catch up with him there. All right, you start your season with Brighton Saturday at 10 Eastern time, so it's an early wake-up call for you. What are you anticipating from Fulham in the Prem here in 25-26?
Mid-table irrelevance and mediocrity, John. Now that Crystal Palace has a major trophy, we might be the new Crystal Palace of just finishing 12th, and half the teams forget we exist if we weren't actually in London. Frustrated with the fact that they haven't gotten any summer signings in, just the backup goalkeeper to help out Bernd Leno. Have locked down some of the other youngsters, which is really, really nice. If you're truly a Premier League sicko, watch out for Josh King, who I think could end up being the starter in a number 8 and a number 10 role. Really good academy kid coming out. Fulham's going to sell him for 20 or 30 million in a couple of years, probably. But, it's a good veteran squad. Marco Silva does a really, really good job motivating and tactically and getting the team up. We've gotten big scalps against every single one of the big six at this point, with the exception of Manchester City. That is Marco Silva and Fulham's Everest at the moment. We were looking to add players, and we haven't really done that. At the same time, this is the first window in the Premier League door we haven't had a big loss. João Paulino, who went off to he's at Tottenham now, to Bayern Munich. Alexander Mitrovic, who's getting paid £1 million a week to go play in Saudi Arabia. Good for him, I suppose. But at the same time, if you look at us around, John, the increasing, I would say, like the stable middle class of the Premier League. If you talk about us, I'd put Bournemouth in there. Brighton's maybe on the edge with some of the losses that they've had as well. Forest overspent us, so maybe they're at the top of that group or the bottom of the teams challenging for Europe. I'd put in Crystal Palace. I'd put in Brentford. Every single other team has had a big loss, albeit for big money. Good question as to whether or not they've done well in terms of reinvesting. Fulham hasn't really gained anyone. They haven't spent any money. They also haven't really lost anyone. Is there a value in continuity in ways that we have seen other teams get rated for their talent and then struggle, like how we saw that happened to West Ham after they won the Conference League, for example. That's happened to Brighton, and they've had to reinvent themselves. They've done it really well with analytics. So we'll see. 12th to 14th, I think, is probable unless something drastically changes in the window. I would love to see Anthony Robinson finally get a goal in the Premier League before he goes off and plays in the World Cup. Would love to see Josh King do well. Would love to do the double over Brentford and see them get relegated. Would love to see them actually get a result against Manchester City. But yeah, look, at one point we're going to get a scalp over a Big Six team, and that's going to be the difference maker for them not winning the Premier League or not finishing top 4. Would love a cup run as well, so maybe Marco Silva's looking at that. But look, we're Fulham. Nobody really hates us. A lot of people really like a day out at the cottage. We've got the new stand and everything. We play fun football, and occasionally we beat the big teams, and we don't really expect anything. So anything better than relegation, I will take it, given where we were at, 17, 18, just hoping that Tim Ream could be a starter in the Premier League one day.
Yep, hit the promo for me before you get out of here and start your day.
Listeners, you can follow me. I'm mostly over on Blue Sky, or Burgundy Sky now, as we like to call it, at by Matt Pollard. Check out my written work at burgundywave.com, and Holding the High Line is in the RSS feed. So if you want to hear us talk about Marcelo Balboa, want us attempt to be immigration lawyers when it comes to Sun and Rob Holding. And of course, we touch on our thoughts on the state of Atlanta United and why we think the Rapids are winning on Saturday.
There you go. As always, my friend, great to see you. And thanks for dropping by first thing in the morning. Go start your day, and we will catch up with you soon, my friend. You've got the keys. And there goes Matt Pollard. And so Matt's out the door. And that's a Burgundy Wave. That's opposition research for Atlanta United and Colorado Rapids. Now, a hot tag, bottom of the hour. There's a guy who's been a part of a very, very busy 6 weeks. 6 weeks, say. And we're going to go over that 6 weeks. We'll start with Austin, come forward, talk a little all-star, come forward, find out how many folks actually just stayed in Texas because you had to go from Austin down to Houston. Genuine Cup, a very big thing in the universe for Atlanta United Unified being on a worldwide stage. Talk about the trophy that was the group that was won there, the trophies and all the things. And then we'll find out, maybe get a little bit of a tease. As Toronto comes to town on the 24th. For the tail end of the home and home. We'll find out what he remembers about the first time those two teams met up at BMO, and it was crazy. So now, time to bring in Marty Jelleme, the head coach of Atlanta United Unified, to get the update there. Marty, have you caught your breath yet, sir?
Barely, because not only did I travel with this team, then I did a little bit of work travel on top of it. So it's been a crazy, crazy 6 weeks.
And that's why we wanted to kind of catch up with you to get everybody caught up before the match on the 24th. Let's start going back to All-Star and Austin. What was the experience like for Atlanta United Unified team on the whole to see once again being represented there at Q2 and Parmer as a part of a bigger weekend?
I think it was pretty awesome. If you watched the game, which I did, I went back and watched it and saw when I came in and started playing, what a difference for the East. You could see the change in the East, and they came back and had a really good match. I think I've talked to a couple of the coaches and things like that about Alex. I found Alex, as he is with us, I won't say the star of the show, but certainly sucked a lot of great energy, saying, he's here, let's do this, was all over the place, talking to everybody, East Coast, West Coast coaches, anybody. And of course, pulling up his shorts and showing his tattoo like he always does. So he was a rock star when it came to promoting Atlanta, for sure.
When you have players that get to be a part of that larger experience, they get to be ambassadors for Atlanta United. They get to share what goes on with that organization and everybody that's a part of the traveling party to be a part of something at All-Star. What are the stories when they come back? What do they tell you about the experience, what they may have learned, what they got to experience themselves, information coming back that might help your unified team? What's the feedback when you return from something that big?
One of the biggest ones is Atlanta plays. One thing we do different than almost all the other MLS teams is our partners are there to facilitate for the players. Mm-hmm. We don't really shoot very much partner-wise. We try to we have quality players that we feel we need to get the ball to them and let them show their skills. They all notice that the other teams aren't quite, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's the quality of players that they have, maybe the mindset of the partners. Our partners are all about promoting and pushing the levels of our players. And that's usually the biggest thing that we find when the guys come back. They're like, yeah, they don't play like us. And that's totally fine. Everybody has their way to do it. I tend to like ours just because I think we're trying to promote the player as a real player. We're not out there just, playing soccer. We're showing the skills. And if we don't give them the ball, press them to get better, it doesn't show their skills the way it can.
When did you embrace that as a part of your philosophy when it comes to coaching, or have you always been that way?
That's always been the way that I've done it from the very beginning. We've done that since 7 years now that I've been here.
Yeah.
The nice thing is I've really loved to see the progression. If you think about when we first started, we were playing 5v5. Mm-hmm. Then we kind of moved to an 8v8. And now we're 11v11. And I think that's all because of our players have skills over the years have gotten better and better and better. because it's hard to play a big pitch if you don't have the skills in the players, because then it doesn't represent a true soccer match. So you've got to have the players to be able to do it. And I think that's been the biggest part of been able to keep that philosophy, because the players have really grown over the years.
How difficult was it to transition from 5-a-side to 8-a-side, and then from 8-a-side to 11-a-side? Or was that just part of kind of the organic approach in the overall anyway? I know I'm going to get to 11 someday. We'll approach it when we get there. Let's focus on 5v5, and then, okay, now it's 8v8. It might be different. It might not. Then we get to 11v11. When it comes to the progression of going from 5 to 8 to 11, how different is it to coach in those three environments?
From 5 to 8, not much. Pretty much all the rules stay the same. It's just a couple more people on the pitch. Now, 8 to 11 was a huge jump. You've got offsides. Now you're doing throw-ins. You've got crosses. That whole change of the game was really big. Offsides is the biggest one by far. Teaching everyone how to stay on sides, knowing that, wait a minute, I can be offsides a little bit if I'm not involved in the play. That whole gray area, they like the hard and fast rule. That's it. If I'm behind this guy, I'm offsides. So that was probably the biggest part, was offsides, and going from 8 to 11. The 5 to 8 really wasn't that big.
All right, let's move from Austin to Houston. Did everybody just basically stay in Austin, Texas, and just say, well, yeah, we'll meet you in Houston for the Genuine Cup? What was?
Well, actually, Alex wasn't able to come, so all the players we all left from here.
And so you go to Genuine Cup, and I know that before Genuine Cup started, you came on, you had expectations about, and what you were anticipating with all of these different clubs from this planet going to one place. And there were some challenges there for you, but I think it was stuff that you would welcome when it comes to challenges as a team, considering your pedigree. True?
Oh, totally. I mean, we went there with literally 4 practices. That's it. Playing player only. So, we had a very big awakening to playing these other teams who had played this model for 7, 8 years. Some of them, the exact same team that we're playing has never changed for 7 or 8 years. So we took a couple beats. There's no doubt about it, and I think that was great. I think you grow through losses, and also not only just soccer wise, but emotional wise. If you win all the time, it's not the best. Having that little bit of heartache, that gives you that desire, and also it's a coping. You have to learn going, wait a minute, I can't win all the time. So I think it was a great learning experience. Australia was the team that gave us a big old physical beat down. I wouldn't say a beat down. We lost by like 3, but definitely a challenge and a much more physical play. And that was something that they really had to get used to.
Well, and at the same time, I heard that there was some support that came from the partners to the players after those first couple of matches. And I thought that was really cool, that the support was there, even if it was over a phone or digitally or what have you, that the support was coming for you. And you're used to having your teammates with you all the time in this situation, but you're having to kind of do things independently for a change. But the support was coming from Atlanta and Atlanta United all the way down to Houston to help them navigate through all of this stuff.
Oh yeah, all the partners were wonderful. Some of the coaches weren't able to make it. They were all texting everybody, telling them, you're going to learn from this. It's a great job. Don't worry about a loss. So it was really neat to see as I heard all the texts kind of coming in as we were sitting at lunches and dinners, which were the lunches and dinners at Houston were pretty crazy, to tell you the truth. They're great crazy, but they were crazy.
Okay, since you opened that door, I'll ask, how crazy was it?
So you would have 2 teams. They were both, I think, were from Spain, literally chanting as loud as they could for their own team in the cafeteria for 30 minutes straight. And everybody was just going crazy, which was, it was great, but it's nothing like, I don't think the American footballers has ever seen that type of emotion all the time. They weren't even on the pitch. They were at lunch and dinner, and that's the way they were, which was wonderful. We had a couple of Spanish-speaking people on our team. But we turned around and they're in the middle of it, jumping up and down, screaming, yelling with them. So it was great.
I assume that friendships were developed among the Atlanta United players and the other clubs as a part of this. Is there still the contact that we always think of? It's like, we grew up going to summer camp. Yeah, I'll call you, those kinds of things. Is there still communication between players across clubs across the world?
Well, you might have a little challenge coming your way.
Oh.
We met a gentleman named Caden
Okay.
from the Glasgow Rangers.
Okay.
He actually has an Atlanta United fan base that he has his own group there.
Okay.
He watches all the Atlanta United games. He has actually watched the unified team play. I walk into lunch, and all of a sudden this guy beelines over to me and goes, "You're Coach Marty." And I'm like, "What are you talking?" I'm like, "What, a stalker?" Oh, no, but literally he's got like 500 followers. I mean, immediately the Glasgow Rangers and our team were best friends after like 2 days. But I mean, think about that. In Glasgow, he is following us. He gets up at 3 a.m. He does his podcast and all this stuff. I mean, amazing. We also made friends with a bunch of guys from Manchester City, Manchester United, the Rangers, and I can't think of the last team. But you always start out the first day, nobody does anything. They're sitting at their tables, not moving, looking around. Second day, a little bit more. By the third day, they eat lunch and they're gone. And dinner, and they're all over talking to everybody from all over and all that kind of stuff. So it was a great experience.
And so, it was once again, you start off a little rocky on the field, then you finish strongly, and it's. I just thought that the idea of the Genuine Cup expanding to the way that they did was tremendous, and being in that environment there in Houston. Another aspect of it that continues to grow unified soccer in this way. Now you get to take all of this information in a very, very busy 6 weeks. What do you remember about the last time that Atlanta United Unified played Toronto FC up there at BMO? I have a word in my head. What do you remember about it?
That's a good question, because I hate to say this, but I still have not even watched, because I've been so busy, our match, which I have not. Yeah, I usually watch it within like 3 days. I have not had a chance. So that is on my to-do list between now and the match to watch it again. Remember, it was a very physical match. Their partners were very physical. So that's something we have to deal with. But, I mean, I think if we play I think you will see a little bit of a change in our players.
Oh.
I think they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. I think that's something that I think Houston has taught them. So it'll be interesting to see if we see a change when we get to play Toronto, if we see more aggressive play from our players.
You mentioned the on the field from Houston. You mentioned the off the field with the relationships and everything. What else do you think the team and the teammates learned in that Genuine Cup situation, whether it's on the field or off the field? Could be life lessons, could be soccer lessons. What do you think that the players themselves learned about that trip to Houston that they're bringing home and now sharing with everybody else, you think?
I think it's life lessons. We had tons of life lessons over the week, just because they don't travel very often without any parents.
Mm-hmm.
That was a full 7 days. So, when most of the time when we travel, it's over a weekend. Now, all of a sudden, they kind of get a little bit not relaxed, but yeah, I guess what I call it relaxed. Going, oh, well, this is cool. And all of a sudden, some of those things that they forget about life skills going, oh, wait a minute. And we had a few of those instances that over the week, everything worked out. They were great learning lessons for people. So that would be the biggest thing I would say. Life lessons were the big hit of the week, besides obviously bringing home a cup. I mean, bringing home the cup is a big thing. So the excitement when they did that was great. And plus, it's the first time, which is something that's different. we don't play for a cup at Unified. So now for the first time, they had 1 week. You had to play your way through, and there was a goal at the end. You were trying to win a cup. That put a little bit added pressure on them, and I think on themselves, which was good because they need that. But I think that was some of the reasons why they got down on themselves. Because like, wait a minute, I'm not going to be able to play for a cup, but they did. They came through, so that was a great thing.
And it was really cool to see, obviously, the photos and such with them with the cup. Where is said cup? Is it Is it like the Stanley Cup where everybody gets like a day with it at home and they get to do with it whatever they want, or is where is said cup, sir? Do we know?
Well, the said cup now it's at the training grounds.
Okay.
I think they put it right next to the cup from the first team. No, I'm only kidding. I don't know where it is at the training grounds.
Look,
that's what Lena said she was going to do with it. So I don't know.
Makes no sense that Lena would sit there, and she would go, "Hey, look, it's a cup." And
it's a cup.
The trophy case with everything else. Legitimately, that to me is what made the most sense. I didn't know if it had made its way there or not, so I was kind of in a roundabout way asking, and if everybody got to kind of celebrate with that cup for a change.
I would imagine we'll be having an end-of-year party, and I guarantee that cup will end up coming with us for sure.
Okay. Now you've got, 10 days. You're going to rewatch match number 1. And it was crazy and back and forth and early in the morning. And I think if I remember correctly, the field was compressed. It was not full end to end. It was 18.
Correct. It was the 18-18, but we will play full pitch when we play after Toronto. So we'll be, I think that gives us a huge advantage. Because I think our players are physically fitter and also a little better quality, so giving us that big pitch will give us more space.
No doubt about it. Coming up on the 24th, are you before or after the 4 o'clock kick? Do you know yet?
After. So that's beautiful. It's the first time we're going to play fairly early versus 10 o'clock at night. So I'm hoping that people come and stay. You don't have to stay till 12 o'clock to watch us. You'll be home at a decent time on a Sunday to be prepared for the next day.
No doubt. And
for work or school.
Yep, it is a 4:10 kick for Atlanta United and Toronto FC first team. So then 6:30, 6:45, somewhere in there will be the kick for the Unified and Toronto FC. As always, Marty, it's great to get these updates. I know that we had to catch up and find out about Austin, find out about Houston and Genuine Cup and trophies and Toronto and all this kind of stuff leading up to this matchup in 10 days. Thank you for all the time that you spend with us and educating us when it comes to the Unified games. We will catch up with you in 10 days down at Mercedes-Benz, my friend.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you again.
There goes Marty Jelleme, the head coach of Atlanta United Unified. And so that's how busy it has been for them over the last 6 weeks. You had players going to All-Star. And I thought it was really interesting that Marty said that they make a point to have the partners help the players when it comes to the on the field. They want the partners to make sure that the players are the ones that are taking, the majority of the shots. So the partners are aiding the players in this. It's not just partners and players. And if anybody's open, just go ahead and start, smashing the ball inside the 18. It doesn't matter who you are. For Atlanta United, for the partners to help out the players and help the players continue to grow. I thought that was one of the big takeaways for me in all of this. And now I'm going to be paying more attention to that when Atlanta United Unified now plays. I'm just thinking that it's this wild, beautiful thing that we see with the Unified team. But the idea that Marty tells us that the partners are there to help the players. And that's how it has always been stylistically for Marty and the Unified team to try and get everything, philosophically working in that direction. So and then there was a cup because for those of you that might have followed Genuine Cup along, and there was an app that you could follow and all that kind of stuff. You can see them with the cup. So there is a cup. My guess is sooner or later that thing is going to end up in the trophy case with everything else up there at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. Okay, so that is your El Coco 233. Good morning to you. You are going to be blocked. This is what happens in mornings like that. Block El Coco 233. Block El Coco 233. Also, we are going to report El Coco 233 as a bot. Next. Bot. Next. And the 23-letter ident that I give it, viewer Solicit, if I could spell solicitation. Solicitation bot. There, 23 characters, submit report, close. All right, so there we go. It's been a while since we've had one of those. Not that I encourage them, but we don't need cheap viewers on Streamboo. Anyway, so after the match with Toronto FC on the 24th, that's Sunday, unified. Toronto FC, Atlanta United unified. Going to be a matchup because I think it was 5-3 last time up in Toronto. Bright and early morning, it was the Hoff and Greg Garza on the call. And so it was back and forth for a while. And then I think the depth of Atlanta United's unified team, and just I think this was the first match back for Toronto FC as a unified team since 2019. So it was a learning experience for Toronto FC, and it was I think it was 5-3. So it was crazy last time these two teams played. Offensive showcase. So after Toronto and Atlanta United on the 24th, Toronto FC unified, Atlanta United unified. Stay, be there, book 'em, Dano, aloha. Okay. Nino Torres coming to join us in about 10 minutes. I don't know what he wants to talk about, so we'll find out as we tour the planet. Morning, Kessie. Morning, David. Morning, Abby. From the Hades of what is South Florida. My apologies. Yes. Kefsey and Lokeville and Four Card, good morning. All right, so the remainder of the show, hour number 2, is Nino and Niko, the Power Hour. We get you ready for what's going on. Tour the planet, tour Major League Soccer, get you ready for things. Tomorrow, as we noted, it is Marcelo Balboa set to join us at 10 o'clock. Right now, I don't know how busy the man's schedule is going to be, but it is going to be 8 o'clock out there in Colorado, 8 o'clock in the morning. And we'll see if he's an Earl Grey guy or a coffee guy or whatever at 8 o'clock in the morning. Cello set to join us at 10 o'clock to talk about everything Rapids, talk about Rapids and Atlanta United, talk about Major League Soccer, the whole thing. So Cello set to join us at 10 o'clock, and thanks to everybody at Major League Soccer, our buddy Kirk Reynolds, for helping us out with all that stuff in that time slot every single week. So Cello Balboa set to join us 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Hopefully 9:30 with school coming in session, we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals and find out what's going on there. Before and after, we'll get you ready for the weekend. We are still perpetually efforting our friends from the Marshall Island Soccer Federation. By the way, today is match day. Today is match day. Go to the website, buy the gear, buy the scarf with the old logo. We're issuing new, and we've got to get the new logo on it. Buy the things, help out the program, buy the weekend. And I mean BUY. There's the 5 matches, and now there's 4, 2 today and 2 on Saturday. First match was yesterday, went to penalties. It is Marshall Islands, Turks and Caicos, U.S. Virgin Island, Ozark United, U19s. First ever match in the history of the Marshall Island Soccer Federation today, later today. Follow the information and watch the match for the first ever, because history only happens once. I'll be out there Saturday for the end of the Outrigger Challenge Cup. The plan is to have a lot of material to bring with, carry back, and all that kind of stuff. So watch the match today, or even if you don't watch the match all the time, or have it on in the background. Helps out the program. Buying the weekend package, and you can watch all the games and add to your streaming experiences as you go. But today's match day for the Marshall Islands, first time ever. So we'll keep an eye on that. Efforting Lloyd and Matt and Justin and everybody out there. And hopefully, maybe we can catch up with them after today, catch up with them tomorrow, and tomorrow's show, we'll find out. But obviously, we'll be there Saturday. Got a lot of stuff. Keep an eye on socials. We'll keep you posted on everything going on out there in Springdale, Arkansas, Saturday, Sunday, and beyond. Okay. Ooh, let's see. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Actually, we'll end with that. Let's go rumor mill and get you squared away with everything coming up in just a little bit. We'll take the tour, and it's been a busy day for Bournemouth. It has been a busy day in general for a lot of folks overseas and domestically. We'll catch everybody up with all of that. Let's see. Newcastle agreed with Villa for Jacob Ramsey, fee in the region of $38 million, and this is all in pounds unless I say otherwise. Add-ons on top. Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs in charge of that one. Bournemouth's Luis Sinisterra is close to a 1-year loan with Cruzeiro. Clubs are also discussing a buy option. Giovanni Leone flying to Liverpool with his £26 million move set to be completed next 24 hours. Should be done by Friday. Bonus is not a significant part of the overall package. Gahey remains content to see out the final year of his Crystal Palace contract. If needs be, Liverpool talks no more than exploratory at this stage. Personal terms have not been agreed, contrary to some reports from our friend Alex Crook at Talk Sport. Wolves have made an approach for Hellas Verona right back Jackson Chachua. Multiple options being explored. Club-to-club talks are active. Kingsley Coman got the bag. Deal was never in doubt despite suggestions of Bayern asking for more money. Coman formalizing his Al Nassr move the next 48 hours on a 3-year deal. Fee remains £25 million. Spurs set to make an opening bid on Nebarici Eze. Tottenham is moving fast to avoid an Arsenal counter. Eze optimism for Spurs that Eze is prepared to join with personal terms, not a problem. There's a new push for Eze after the injury to James Maddison. Nottingham Forest set to sign Rennes Arnaud Calamuendo for a fee in the region of $26 million. Brentford's going to lose out despite holding advanced talks with the player. Forest also remain on course to sign James McAtee from Manchester City after agreeing to a fee with said Manchester City. Let's see. Eze, and I'm trying to buzz through the information on Eze. Spurs prefer not to trigger Eze's £68 million release clause. Instead, value him closer to the 55 they paid for Mohamed Kudus. Remains to be seen whether Palace engage at a number below the clause valuation, even after it expires. Chelsea open to a loan with Alfie Gilchrist if permanent suitors can't be found. Move is imminent to the Championship or Saudi Arabia after Chelsea dropped their asking price. Derby and Blackburn have made inquiries. Chelsea players, this is cool. Chelsea players have decided to donate part of their bonus for winning the Club World Cup to the family of Diogo Jota and Andre Silva. Very cool there. Wrexham set to sign Nathan Broadhead from Ipswich for a club record £10 million. Broadhead has been given permission to undergo a medical. Bayern still retain an interest in Christopher Nkunku. Chelsea's expected to depart this summer. $60 million plus in the evaluation back in January when Bayern last asked questions. Let's see. Domestic. Let's see if there's anything there from Tommy Scoops and see if there's any kind of shaking movement or anything like that. Portland and Paraguayan midfielder Mati Rojas have agreed to a deal per sources. Final steps to finalize. 29, terminating his contract with River Plate, formerly with Messi and Friends Corinthians Imas. Toronto have acquired Jules Anthony Vilsaint from CF Montreal in exchange for Matty Longstaff, and TFC is getting GAM, I think, in the neighborhood of $275,000. Fire have completed a deal to sign Portuguese attacking midfielder Andre Franco from Porto. An initial loan with a purchase option. Franco will not be a DP right now. Start for Estoril prior to Porto, where he had 11-4 last season there on that campus. We mentioned Fede Redondo leaving Messi and Friends heading to Elche yesterday. It was looks like it's going to be $2.5 million, 50% sell on. Cesar Luis Merlo was first on that. So that is the early returns on any and all of the gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. I'm trying to see if we missed anything. Let's see. Wrexham's transfer record treble. That was the Broadhead deal. And I'm trying to see if there's anything that I might have missed briefly. Doesn't look that way. Apparently, there is a new third kit for Manchester City that has some inspiration. Wayne Rooney is pissed off at Tom Brady, and questions whether or not Tom Brady really knows anything about soccer. You'll remember that Brady called out Wayne Rooney's work ethic and his time at Birmingham. 83 days in charge, and he replaced John Eustace. Sacked in January, failed to win 13 of 15. Birmingham relegated to League One. Then they came back after winning the League One title. Brady says, I'm a little worried about our head coach's work ethic. This was during the tenure of Rooney. I mean, I don't know. I don't have great instincts on that. Elaborated on the comments in an exclusive interview with Talk Sports, Troy Deeney. He said, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Wayne and what he accomplished. He's one of the greatest players that ever been on a pitch. At the same time, I have very high expectations for what leadership looks like. Rooney comes back on the Wayne Rooney Show, BBC Sport. Quote, I think it was a very unfair comment. When I went into Birmingham, they were in a mess, really. Players weren't really players who could take the club forward. Tom came in once, which was the day before a game, where the day is a little bit lighter anyway, and I don't think he really understood football that well at the time. Maybe he does now, but what he does understand is he's a hard worker. We know that. That's why I was disappointed with the comment. Football's not the NFL. NFL works 3 months a year. Well, that's not entirely true. Players need rest. So I think it's very unfair the way he came out and portrayed that. Listen, I respect Tom Brady massively. This sounds like a yeah, but he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest athletes of all time. Birmingham do look like they're getting it right now, which is good. What they've done is get the players out they needed to get out. After me, Tony Mowbray and Gary Rowett both struggled as well. So a bit disappointed, but nothing too serious. So move on. So there you go. Plymouth Argyle manager. Remember, he goes Derby, DC United, and Birmingham. Appointed Plymouth Argyle manager in the summer of 24. Left after about 6 months. Now he's working in all of the media roles, including the Wayne Rooney Show on BBC. Whew. Abby with a quick note on Unified. We will need assistance with a Unified TIFO. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be really cool. Actually, tell you what, let's get into what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, since we are in that part of the week. And we will lay everything out for you. Today, being an Espanol Libertadores doubleheader. If you have not had the chance, go back and listen to our buddy Howard Hamilton from Soccer Metrics and the Copa Libertadores show. Botafogo LDU Quito at 6, Libertad River Plate at 8:30, being an Espanol simulcasting. Season Pass tonight has Messi and Friends 2 and Hunt City at 7, Fox Soccer Plus, Central American Club Motagua and Cartagines at 10 o'clock. Once again, Fanatis, FNTZ.co/soccer down here. You get all the be-ins, and I mean all the be-ins. And you also get like Tigo Sports, CATV, Canal 4, Nuestro Tele, CDO, For the Fans, Liga 1 Max Pro. Like I said, we were watching in our production chat, we were watching Sporting Cristal and Melgar. We were watching Luis Abram go into chaos. It's like a 5,000-seat stadium at Cristal. And because of the chaos that was going on, the match eventually finished 10-10. The stadium was shaking and the camera was shaking. I shudder to think what the camera well was looking like. You can watch those kinds of games on Fanatis. Intese Nuestro Telecidio, For the Fans, Liga 1 Max Pro, Libertadores, Sudamericana, qualifiers if you want to pay the extra bucks, all the things. You can pay all the things, and you can get all squared away with that. So that is the rundown there. And you can also catch up with our buddy Nino Torres at GOLTV, and you can watch him as he's calling matches in and around the planet, whether it's in South America, Portugal, et al. So it is all over the place with Fanatis. It is recommended because it is scary. It is scary what you're able to watch in these situations all across the board. And so it's going to be really, really interesting as we go here. But once again, Fanatis, it has completely and totally, how do we say this? It has completely and totally given us windows to the planet that we would not have normally otherwise seen. Nino has sent me his list. I have still not looked at it, so he's going to be coming in here in a second. And we're going to go fully loaded. Once again, Niko Moreno joining us from Pulso Sports and Soccer and Sounder at Heart. Coming up last half hour, we'll go through everything Major League Soccer. We'll talk about Seattle, talk about all the things, and get it all squared away with MLS around the world and all the stuff. Whew. Remember, Sunday, just so you remember, Sunday, Crown Legacy, Atlanta United 2, big matchup. You'll hear from Jose Silva tomorrow, and we'll have some preview. We'll talk about the big win in Toronto for Atlanta United 2. And we will talk about Crown Legacy coming to town. 7 points out of a playoff spot right now, 2 matches in hand. You win both of those matches in hand, you're a point out. You know that you've got to steal some wins because you've got to have more wins than everybody else around you if you're tied on points, because that's your first tiebreaker. So win. That's the biggest thing. And being able to do that across the board, that is the biggest element in all of this. Okay, hour number 2. Officially hour number 2. And I'm going to play something. I'm going to play something that might be familiar to a particular individual. So this will be the intro for this week.
We are 5 minutes away. I don't think they're going to add 2. Panchito. Here comes Mochi. Pedrito Gonzalez. Pancho! Trincao, baby, for the Lions! the way to open a season for Sporting. That's the way for Panchito. That's the way for Sporting Club of Portugal, the reigning champions. 1-0 over Casapia in Rio Mayor. The Sporting way. And these two teammates, they know each other so well that they could play with their eyes closed and find each other every single time. 1-0 for Sporting, baby. 1-0 for Sporting.
So yellow.
Yellow soccer down here, fans. The pipes are not in perfect condition, but I'm here, brother. I'm here. So getting ready for tonight, baby.
We can low gear this one. That's perfectly fine. Absolutely true. So I have the topics as you sent them, and I have yet to look at them. But I figured, and I apologize, that's in mono because normally it would be in stereo, but I don't know what happened. I left to go on vacation with the boss for a couple of days. I come back and set everything back together, and now it's only recording in mono. So I've got to flip a switch, and it's going to take me forever to find. Anyway, that was Nino's call to kick off the season in Portugal. So we go to that particular topic because as I stare at these 4 topics for the first time, topic number 3. Liga Portugal, round 1 in the books. Nino Damas is on fire. By the way, Nino Damas is on the TikToks. Everyone needs to know that Nino Damas is on the TikToks. But round 1, the Liga de Portugal is in the books, and Nino Damas, he on fire. What up,
Brother? I before even the season started, right? I looked at the rosters, right? And I saw that the Sporting roster, the only downside was, they lost Victor Joggers. It was a big loss, right? But every other position with every key player remains in the roster, remains in Portugal with the same coach, same structure, same system. And I was like, all right, let me watch this. Let me call this first game, and then I get my conclusions about it, right? And I was so right, brother. I was so right. Sporting looking so dangerous, looking for that three-peat. In Portugal. He's my number one candidate. To win the Liga Portugal all over again for the second time in their history. Well, it's going to be a third time, actually. They went from the 46 to 49, and then 52 to 56. So it was 70 years since the last time that they got a three-peat.
56, 44, 40. Yes, 69.
Right.
Nice. Yes.
Give it a take, right? But they were so dominant. I mean, it was only 2 goals, right? But they could have been 4, 5, 6. Lucha Suarez, the new striker for Sporting, dangerous. He didn't score. No, he didn't score but he was so gelled with his teammates. It looked like he was playing for Sporting for 5 seasons already, right? But no, he didn't score. But again, Pochi, Trincao, and the new role being the number 10, being the attacking mid, he's gonna be the MVP for Sporting. That's my other prediction of the season. Now with the Dragons, they are behind for the past 4 years. In 4 years, Porto hasn't won the Primeira Liga. But boy, they look scary. They look scary. I haven't seen this Porto since the last time that they won the championship back in 2021. Every attacking option from Porto. Got 4, 5, 6 players, Johnny. It was like the Luftwaffe, brother. It was brutal, man. It was brutal, and I was like, okay. And they didn't even play Rodrigo Mora. Rodrigo Mora was on the bench watching. Luke de Jong entered the pitch for the last 4 or 5 minutes, and I almost got a beautiful assist with a backheel touch. But the difference between last year and this year for Porto, number 1, the new coach understands the system, understands the players. Number 2, they got key signings. They got Rojo, they got Luke de Jong, they got what's his kid's? I forgot the other name. I forgot the other guy's name, but They got 4 or 5 players in every line. They go, oh, Bednarek. I was forgetting about Bednarek, the Polish guy. He is a massive defender. It's a massive addition for Porto. Starting from there, because Porto last year, not the year before, but last year, their defense was so shaky. It was so shaky. They because they lost Pepe. Pepe retired, and no one else could fill in the gap for him as the main guy in the defense for the Dragons. But this guy, Bednarek, so impressed. I mean, so impressed with him. And and you know what? We're not gonna have to wait that long to see where they stand in the Primera Liga, if they for real or not. Because in round 4, only a couple of weeks from now, round 4 is gonna be Sporting versus Porto, and then we're gonna see who is the boss in Portugal for the remaining of the season. They just started, brother.
Going back to week 1, Sporting shuts out Casapia 2-0 at a -303. Gil Vicente a winner 2-0 at a +197. So they were a slight dog on the road, got the win. Aruca over AFS 3-1. They were a home favorite. Famalicão 3-0. They were a plus favorite. They were a plus side favorite at home against Santa Clara 1-3-0. Moreirense was a -106. They beat Alverca. Braga beat Tondela 3-0 at a -200. Estoril and Estrella drew at 1 at a +254. And Porto, to your point, 3-0 winners over Vitória Guimarães at a -227. And that gets us to where we are this week, running it down. AFS and Casapia is tomorrow at 10:30. This 10:30 in the morning stuff, man, these brunch kickoffs. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're cool and everything here on the East Coast of the U.S., where you get to sit there and you click it on and you're going, 10:30 in the morning. Hey, check that out, Portugal. AFS slight favorite at home tomorrow against Casapia. Rest of the rundown for the week. Famalicão road favorite at Tondela at a +129. Vitória Guimarães favored at home on the minus side to Estoril at a -141. Estrela +1312 at home hosting Benfica, and that is 2 days from now on Saturday. That's the third match on Saturday. And I also give Liga Portugal credit. They don't stack their matches. They don't have everybody playing at the same time. They space them out so you can sit there and digest one and one. I get that. That's really cool. And then, of course, on Sunday, you get 2 at the same time. Rio Ave favored at a +129 hosting Nacional. Braga -154 on the road at Alverca. Santa Clara at home a -110 against Moreirense. Sporting a -385 at home against Aruca, who's a +891. And then Porto at Gil Vicente to finish the weekend at a -208, taking on Gil Vicente there at their barn at a +530. Now, okay, I'd mentioned the Copa's going on, Sudamericana, and our buddy Howard Hamilton at Soccer Metrics, he does our Copa Libertadores show and everything, and so we focus on Libertadores and Sudamericana and all that. You have here, I see, Alianza Lima beat Católica in Sudamericana. Please explain yourself, sir, with topic number 2.
Yesterday, it's crazy, right? How we become so delusional when it comes to the media. Because the night before to the Alianza Lima presentation in Matute, everybody was debating. Católica, they're a bunch of nobodies. They're playing in a stadium with only 500 people showing up for the games. And brother, this team was undefeated in the first round in the group stage of the Copa Libertadores. They didn't lose against anybody. Right? They won the 3 games at home. They didn't win. They didn't lose in the row. They got three draws in a row. They got the best striker in the Liga Pro Ecuador. And you calling these guys a bunch of nobodies? Yeah, because we are Alianza Lima. You're not Alianza Lima. You're on the same turf, brother. They didn't win anything, and you haven't won anything yet. So you're even, okay? And but last night Alianza Lima, it was I want to say, how do I put this? They deserve to win, all right? They deserve to win. Mm-hmm. There were a couple of horrendous mistakes for Católica in the backside of the story. That's how they could get the advantage. But they got a bunch. I mean, it was crazy because it was shootout. John, it was a shootout. But halftime, We got 18 shots from both sides, coming from both sides. It was just ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. You know, it was back and forth. And I was like, oh, watch out, Alianza Lima. Watch out, you're playing at home. You get nervous when you're playing at home. I just praying for you to score first. Because when Alianza Lima gets scored, it's just they don't have that the ability to bounce back immediately. They don't have that ability. For some reason, I don't have to explain that. When they're playing at home, because it's the pressure. They're playing actually better on the road in terms of Copa Sudamericana when they went to Boca Juniors and everything else. Humongous loss for them. Paulo Guerrero got injured. He came in with a bandage on his quad. I was like, oh man, you don't rush it. And there you go. 20 minutes in, he was like, yeah. Sorry, I'm done. So Hernan Barcos got in, and I don't want to say it was a different story because Paulo Guerrero was so active in the 20 minutes that he played. But this is why I mean, so many things in my mind right now about this game and about the Peruvian Soccer League right now. Billy Vizcarra, who is the Bolivian national team, the goalie for the national team in Bolivia, right? Mm-hmm. He's a goalie for the national team. I know Bolivia is Bolivia, right? They're not, but this national team caliber player. So they signed him, and he got some mistakes throughout the season, yes. But in the big games, like against Boca Juniors, he was fantastic. Big games with Católica last night, phenomenal. And why there's many Alianza Lima fans and fans that they're also journalists that they root for their team when they complain about Vizcarra. No, he's not an Alianza Lima goalie. We should never let go of Angelo Campos because he was better and he's that brother. He got 4 key saves last night. 4 key saves that they were goals. They were goals. Not just any save. Right, I'm talking about big time saves. 4 of those. You just do the math, brother. The 4. It would have been 4-2. Mm-hmm. It was at home, but no. And now they got to go to Quito. They got to go to Quito next week. And I know Católica didn't score, right? But they create so many chances. On Alianza and. In Quito is, brother, remember that it's 10,000 feet above the sea level, so that's that you gotta consider that too. They're gonna be way more aggressive in the capital of Ecuador than they were here, and they're aggressive here. Only that Byron Palacios and what's this guy's name, Mauro Diaz. They were not. I mean, they were barely off target, but you just tune in those shots a little bit. And we're talking about a big shootout here. That I'm telling you that we're going to see lots of goals in the second leg in Ecuador, man. We're going to see lots of goals. I'm picturing this. I don't know, maybe 3-2, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. Alianza Lima 2-0 winners over Universidad Católica last night at a -128. Universidad de Chile 1-0 winners over Independiente and basically the juice boxers, they just kind of threw a blanket over the whole thing. Get this. The composite for Universidad and Independiente, both sides had the same number and the draw option was barely higher. So basically everybody who was throwing juice boxes at this one was just to Universidad de Chile and Independiente was just like, yeah, whatever. It's just the whole thing. It's just put a blanket on it, put them at the same number, everything's fine. Today, Sudamericana. It is 6 o'clock. Atletico and Godoy Cruz. Atletico, big favorite at a -196 at home. Central Cordoba hosting Lanús, who folks here in this particular footprint know a lot about. Central Cordoba favorite at a +150. Lanús a +225. That is a Sudamericana update. All right, topic number 3. Palmeiras D-Day. What is going on with this? Uh-oh. Brother,
you see, I'm wearing here my beanie here, right? Mm-hmm. And with my hoodie.
Mhm.
I'm in Rocky Balboa mode today, brother.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Rocky Balboa mode because we are facing Ivan Drago, and you know what's coming, right? You know what's coming. I mean, an outrageous soccer machine that they got a neuroscientist around. You know, they got all the money in the planet. They got all the stars, but we got our hearts, brother. We got our hearts, and this team that is been the same team, like in Sporting. Now this is the team that has barely been untouched, barely been touched for the signings. We only got stronger. We got Anderson Santa Maria, who just came in to revamp this defense. And not that they needed to revamp it, but because this is the best defense in the league. But we're talking Copa Libertadores and we're talking Palmeiras. So we need every individual to play at their highest level possible, not just for the year, brother, for their lives. All right, for their lives. Because if we're gonna make an impact, a true impact in CONMEBOL, if we're gonna prove that the Liga Uno is worth watching, that is worth, to get another spot or to get high up on the rankings in CONMEBOL, we gotta advance in this round. It's almost a mission impossible. It is. I know. I'm not selling anything here, but I believe that it can be done. Can be done. How many times, Johnny, we've seen these underdogs winning, and for some strange reason, I gotta. You like boxing, Johnny? You like boxing?
Old school, because I'm the kind of guy that sits there and says 15-round heavyweight fight. That shows you how old I am. For me, I'm like Hagler Hearns.
Right.
Early Tyson, that kind of stuff. I will maintain that the Hagler Hearns rematch was one of the nastiest fights ever in the history of the sport. Barely made it into round number 3 before Marvin Hagler finally took over. Seriously, the fight's up because it's only 10 minutes long. It's a 10-minute broadcast because they go 2 rounds plus. And they just went in the middle of the ring and they just started throwing haymakers and didn't stop. And it's amazing to watch. That's the kind of stuff that drew me in. Now these days, I'm just kind of like,
Right, but there's this fight. Probably you've seen it. These highlights are all over the place, and I keep showing on my feed. This is Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua.
Okay.
You see, if you haven't seen that one, watch it. Trust me, watch it, because this is Andy Ruiz. It's a heavyweight fight. It's a heavyweight bout.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Joshua is the pound by pound best heavyweight in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
He was 21-0 with 21 knockouts.
Mm-hmm.
And this Andy Ruiz guy, the Mexican guy,
mm-hmm.
a chubby guy. Brother, he was a chubby guy, a guy that, he was not, you seen this guy? He's not a pro boxer. Chubby guy, hanging in there. And Anthony Joshua was pounding and pounding and pounding. And then in one of those interchange, Andy Ruiz gets a hook and hits him right here on the equilibrium.
Mm-hmm. And
it changed the game and he won the fight, being the brutal underdog in this fight. This is the kind of stuff that I'm thinking and believing now, because we're playing at home. We're playing at home.
Yes, you are. And
this is a scary place to play, man. I'm telling you, this is a scary place to play. We haven't lost a game in like forever in here, so we'll see what happens tonight. But everybody's pumped up. I've been thinking about this day for like, I don't know how long, Johnny. Every time I get up, I'm thinking about Palmeiras is coming. No, it's not today. All right.
Are you and your mom going tonight?
No, I'm not going unless there's some magical. This is the thing. On Monday they got the tickets on sale, but I gotta take my mom to her checkup to the hospital, right?
Okay.
And I was like, all right, it's Monday. I gotta buy tickets. And then we went to the hospital, and then when I realized it was like 11 in the morning, oh crap!
Yeah.
Too late, brother.
Well, all right. So here's the numbers. Just so you know, I'm going in because you're talking Joshua and Ruiz. I was thinking Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson. You went with Joshua and Ruiz. Your numbers, I'll build to it. Botafogo a minus 227 hosting LDU Quito tonight. LDU Quito is a plus 676. Libertad Asunción out of Paraguay hosting River Plate. They are a plus 344. River Plate's a minus 103 as a road favorite. Now here we go with matchup number 3 tonight. 8:30 Eastern time. Universidad de Deportes hosting Palmeiras. Which side do you want first? Do you want or do you want them?
I want them.
Minus 110. Draw a plus 206. Universidad de Deportes a plus 382 in the composite tonight.
+3. I was thinking that you see, it's not that bad.
Okay, plus
not that bad because I could be thinking of 5, 6, but 383.
Yeah, that's the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Topic number 4 has to do with the new scouting paradise, as you refer to it. Scandinavia, the new scouting paradise. Please elaborate, sir. What in the wide world of sports are you talking about?
Brother, so it's in Portugal. Portugal is the portal for South American players to Europe. It's been the portal for the past, I don't know how long, 25 years. Okay, maybe more. But now the market is changing. And now, you when you get players from South America, like Mastantuono, paying 45 mil, asking prices for 25 mil, 15 mil here. They were like, this market is gonna pricey now. This market is kind of pricey now. Let me see what else can we go.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if these vibes are, and turn out to be yes. You know, you got more players from Norway, from Finland, from Denmark, and a lower price, and they do speak English. That's just one smaller thing, right? They do speak not only English, but in Europe everybody speaks 3-4 languages. But they're fit ready. They understand the game, and it's affordable now for Portugal, because Portugal is I mean, they are the scouts. They are the middleman for the big guys. Portugal is the middleman, right? I get this guy, and all right, I get it for 5. I'll sell it to you for 50, right? But you take that. Now they go into Scandinavia, and as you notice, all the signings in Portugal, you got Jokeris, you got the Morty Jelleme, you got Froholt, you got a bunch of players from the Scandinavia Peninsula, and I like it, because before you were not seeing the Scandinavian players well developed yet, right? But now they are. Now they're not naive anymore. These runners that could run like forever, but not knowing, the purpose of the actual game. And now you got great athletes with great tactics, and now they got talent, and they are affordable. So those are the 4 key elements in there for the Scandinavian players, that they're coming in waves to Portugal, man, in waves, and not just to Portugal, to everywhere else in Europe, but Portugal, as always, there's one step ahead of everyone else, and the scouts work so well, because I believe, not because I call in this league, not because of that, but this has been it's been their bread and butter to have the best scouts in Europe.
What are you calling? I tried to keep you in as low a gear as possible, but keep you as fully loaded as possible today, knowing that your time is busy. I was explaining to folks about Fanatis and about all the things that we watch, and we got to share everybody the idea of Sporting Cristal and Melgar. So that was on Fanatis last week. And that is why we were trying to draw folks to Fanatis so they can see you on GOLTV, be a part of the Nino Torres experience. What is on your dossier this week? Where can we hear you and have conversations with you, sir? What's the rundown?
We're starting tomorrow with Boston River versus.
Oh, yes, that's right. The home teams of Kentucky. Yes, Boston.
Yeah. Boston River versus Fayette, 7 p.m. And then on Saturday morning. But it's a noon game. It's not that early, Johnny. It's not that early. Noon game. Juventud versus Miramar. And then I got the big three for Portugal. I got Benfica playing Estrela at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday.
Yep.
3:30 p.m. on Sunday, Sporting hosting Arouca.
Mm-hmm.
And on Monday, 3:15, it is Gil Vicente versus Porto. Got the big three for Portugal this weekend.
As always. And so please, sir, make sure that the pipes are as kept as possible. A lot of the hot tea, the throat coat. And I can send you some throat coat if you need to. I can always send you what I do when it comes to these kinds of things. We love you very much, my friend. I know that you're in your Rocky IV garb because you're getting ready to take on Ivan Drago. All you got to do is hit that first punch.
Absolutely.
He's a man. He's a man. He's not a machine. He's a man.
Exactly. That's our mantra here. We're Rocky Balboa. We're going for it. Ivan.
Duke is telling you he's a man, and so that's all you got to worry about. We're looking forward to talking about everything as we always do. South America, Portugal, Sudamericana, Libertadores, all parts in between. We love you very much, my friend, and we will catch up with you next week. May the voice be as beautiful as always. We will catch up with you soon.
Thank you, Johnny. See you next week, guys.
You got it. Nino Torres from GOLTV, going fully loaded. We like I said, I made a point to try to low gear him this week because knowing Nino, if we got dialed up on a topic, he's going to go, yeah. I mean, Nino he's looking at me in the green room and he's like, yeah, brother, you know that if I get dialed up, he's over the top. And we have to preserve these pipes. We have to preserve the Nino pipes. So he can give you the big three in Portugal this weekend. So he can give you South American soccer on GOLTV. So he can be this pillar of the sport that he is. And we love him very much for it. So big three in Portugal this weekend, South America leading into that. So it's a big week for Nino Torres at GOLTV. Once again, Fanatis, FNTZ.co/soccer down here. Helps the network out, helps us out. Helps you continue to be the true degenerate that we know that you are when it comes to watching the sport around the planet. And that's why on Thursdays we like to bring in Nino and Niko, who's coming up in a bit, where we can tour the planet. We can tour the hemisphere. We can find out what's going on so we can all continue to be as best educated on those pockets that we might hear about, but not get the chance to know a lot about. And so that's why when we bring in Nino, we can find out about Europe. We can find out about South America. We can find out about what's going on there. We can find out about all the stories. And with Niko, finding out about the Western Conference in Major League Soccer and the storylines there. All the guests that we bring in, we bring them in because of their expertise and their knowledge base and willing to get up early with the rest of us and try to figure things out on a morning show Monday through Friday. So that is that's the rationale, and we had to make sure that we got through the 4-pack for Nino this morning, but we didn't want him to blow out the pipes. As much as his club is playing tonight, and they are at home, and they are an underdog, and I can guarantee you, if Nino opens the windows to the Casa de Nino, he can hear the throng of 11 billion people who are yelling their heads off. He'll be able to hear that all night long. But we got to make sure that the pipes are okay for the weekend because he's got the big three in Portugal coming up on GOLTV. So, as always, it's great to catch up with our buddy Nino Torres from GOLTV and find out what's going on there. David had a question. Let me see if I can tackle it now. On a slow day, can we get a recap of how you met and befriended the OGs? Long show, Nino, Niko, Jarrett, Missing Nick, Jess. Started listening back in 2020 in the pandemic, and some of these cats were just there. Long story short, it started when Atlanta United was coming online. And we knew as a collective that something needed to happen. And Jason was with the Silverbacks at the time in the NASL. And I was doing color on Silverbacks games. And so that was just where that friendship started. And Jarrett knew Jason from Soccer in the Streets. And Nick went from being a contributor in the Twitch pitch to helping fill out those holes with our European activity in Eastern Europe, Italy, Serie A, and such. And so that was where it all started with us. Jason was at Clayton State, and he was active down there calling matches and such. And then that was where Jess came in. Nino and Niko came in through just folks that we enjoyed their content and their presentation. Same for Dylan Butler. And we enjoyed their takes. We enjoy their approach. We enjoy who they are and what they contribute to the game. And it's just finding these experts in these pockets. And then from there, it's been fun to see. Like I said, we knew we knew that we needed to do something at SDH. We knew we needed to do something. Morning Del, morning Alex. And we figured it would be best to do a morning show. When we started out at an hour, and we knew eventually that it was going to be a 2-hour show, but we didn't know that it was going to be, that request was going to be there, and all that much was left on the table after only the first 9 months of doing it. Yeah, because we're in season 8 of doing this. And so we started 7 years, 8 seasons ago, and we knew that something needed to happen. But yeah, we went from an hour to 2 hours in 9 months. 9 months of airing, we went to a 2-hour show. And we've gone from that to Soccer Over There and the specialty shows and the network programming and all of the live games that we do and all this kind of stuff. But we couldn't do it without all of you guys, first and foremost, because if the appetite wasn't there for all of this information on a daily basis, however it's presented, whether it's Morning Espresso, which leads you into AM, which leads you into the other interviews, which leads you into all the other content on all of our other platforms, then we wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for you guys sitting there and saying, yeah, I mean, we want to listen. We want to take in this information. We want to find out what's going on in Major League Soccer. We want to find out what's going on in Libertadores, Sudamericana, find out what's going on in South America, Central America, Canada, all these different places. I mean, we've just considered ourselves to be a network and a place of information and conversation. And along the way, Del may remember when we did the Charleston Battery show, and we had Poppy Miller on consistently when she was working with the Charleston Battery. And now Poppy is one of the faces of Paramount's coverage and CBS's coverage of the sport. And we need to have her on when she has time to breathe, because literally it's like she's working and then she goes and travels to catch her breath and then she goes back on to working. So, and Four-Card, we are trying to figure out how to do that. Four-Card wants us to bring back Soccer Over There. We are trying to figure out how to do it. We are trying. And Four-Card, yeah, well, and Four-Card, you know that there have been times where both SOT would go almost 3 hours in the fever dream that was Monday night. And there have been times where this show has gone 3 hours. I mean, shoot, we went, 225 the other day? But that's because of the information that's there, the guests that we have, and then if there's information that we have to fill in the spots for, then we keep going. I mean, it's the 2-hour thing is kind of a loose idea. And it's a notion of, here's where we start. Like I said, Morning Espresso is now our lead in. And then you start with us here with this, and then you build and build and build. But yeah, this is our 8th year of doing the morning show, and it has evolved from Jason and Jarrett and Nick and me to all of the other places that we fill in. So that's the short version of the show and the network and where we are from here. And so on Thursdays, we take the last half hour of the show and we go to Seattle and his new studio space, which is developing as we see. And he's even with his new studio, he's not even wearing the hat anymore because it's a studio space, and he feels like it's like you don't want to wear the hat indoors, but now it's a studio space and he's looking all official and everything. How are you, my friend? Welcome aboard for another Thursday as we go Thursdays with Niko.
Hey, what's going on, John? It is a beautiful day in my neighborhood. Thank you for asking. And yes, I mean, no lid, just because when I get a haircut, I just figured, man, if I'm spending that much money on a haircut, I got to start using it a little more.
Yeah. Okay.
So once it gets a little, long, then I'll go back to the hat. But for sure, right now, we are trying to keep it without the lid. But it's always happy to be on, John. It is my second cup of Joe.
Thank you.
We got studio space. I was trying to figure out the lighting because I feel like this top light gives me this shadow.
Because you might need a key light, something like either like right here, because my lighting setup is like this. I have you've got your key light up top. You've got your key light up here. I have, and that's back there. I have a fill light to my left and I have a fill light to my right. And so I can turn down the volume of the light to my left, which is going directly into my face. And the light to my right, is the one that I can bounce off of my table and kind of make sure that folks don't see how fat I am under here. And so literally it's top of the head, right in the face, bounce, and up here. So that's literally I've kind of triangulated this setup, and that's how I don't have the reflection down here, is because it's a glass table, and light number 3 bounces off of that and comes and hits right here. So that's
I need to figure out the lighting, man. Those are pro tips right there. I need some right here because I swear it gives me this weird wrinkle right here. I'm not that wrinkly. I swear to you, I'm not.
So it's lights on either side and maybe something that bounces from underneath to kind of neutralize the dark that's there with the desk. So that's what as you build your studio space, light, and then maybe something that bounces to where it's like that. So that's your lighting tip for the day.
Oh, my man. I love it, man. But you know what? You're coming in crisp. I hope I'm sounding all right. And, man, there is a bunch of things to talk about with MLS, of course, the Red Hot Sounders. So, yeah, man, let's do it.
All right. So let's go back to that 4 spot that got put on LAG. I know that LAG was kind of sitting there and puffing their chest out a little bit because of what they've been able to do recently. And then all of a sudden you brought out what is commonly referred to in some parts as the whooping stick. And it started off with the Aude own goal. Musovski again with a brace. Brunel. And this was a cool moment. He comes in late as a sub and he gets his first ever goal with 5 to play. So there were a lot of really cool things that broke down in this one as Seattle put 4 on LAG.
Yeah, look, the Seattle Sounders just are running in all cylinders, I would say. They were coming from some gritty performances, and then they went to Los Angeles on the road, and I thought they dominated 80 to 90% of that game. They were able to rotate, which was important for Brian Smetzer. They were able to rotate before the Galaxy game. Then they play with what I would like to think is their best 11. That's obviously with the injuries that they currently have. Ferreira gets his Brian kind of gave me some clapback yesterday about me calling Ferreira's first time really running the 10. And the reason why I said that is just because this is a different Sounders team. This is a team that's running a lot smoother. I know that he's kind of had cameos there at the 10, and he's played the dual cam, but on the 4-2-3-1 with this current form in play, this was Ferreira's first shot replacing Albert Rusnak, and I thought he did it fantastically. Maybe not perfectly, but I thought that he was very effective on the ball. There's a couple of things that he still needs to get used to. We talked to Jesus yesterday. He said he has to kind of learn the role a little bit because there's a lot more bodies on that left side compared to when it's just him and Alex on the right side. Talked about Pedro, talked about Christian, talked about just the way that left side moves a lot differently, but I thought he did well. You talk about Masovsky, a guy that just seems to be at the right place at the right time. He might not be the prolific 9 that you might see on the other teams. He's definitely not a DP 9, but he's an effective 9, and he has 12 goals, all comms. And sometimes you need a poacher, and that's what he does. And then you talked about Schneider Brunel, a guy that you're going to need to get a lot of minutes of. You're going to need to rotate those 2 pivots that have the most minutes on the team in Obed and Christian Roldan. And so it was great to see a guy like Schneider, that my biggest praise would be that he understands the game at a different level, that he plays beyond his years. You could see by the goal that he had there late in the game that he's part of the buildup, part of the possession spell. His movement is right where it needs to be. And then once that ball goes all the way to the right side where Alex Roldan gets to the end line, he understands that Georgia Benungu's dragging some defenders and he just got to stay back, open up a channel. He's an option there, and then he puts it away. So that is after he had an opportunity in front of goal. Maybe not as clear, but he just skies it. So I love to see a player that kind of forgets about what happened. The shot did not go my way. I'm going to stay on. I'm going to stay engaged. And then he gets a good goal there for the 4th of the day. I also thought Paul Rothrock was very good. The Havoc brothers are back. Paul Rothrock on the right, Pedro de la Vega on the left. I think that is a combination for success as we wait for Albert Russick to get back, who, oh, by the way, we were told that it will be out at least 4 weeks. Going from the day of the injury, so still some time. So yeah, man, I thought that it was a very good win for the Seattle Sounders, who right next to Orlando, I would say are the 2 teams in best form. They're the 2 red hot teams right now in MLS. One on the east side, one on the west side. Clearly 2 different builds of roster, 2 different approaches to the game, but both are the best teams right now in terms of current form.
I was going to ask, since you seem to be reading my notes, what is the injury updates across the board? You mentioned Rusnak. What about all the others for you?
Yes, that is a great question. We were told by Brian Smetzer that Ryan Kent would be out 10 to 12 weeks. That puts you at the end of the season. That's a tough break for Ryan Kent, specifically because he is in a short-term contract. He has an option for next year. I highly doubt that the Sounders are going to have any way to really assess this adequately and say come back next year. The only way I would see Ryan King coming back next year is if he has no other options anywhere else, and instead of that $1 million plus that he probably has as an option for next year, if he could come back on 500, 450, and he's like, I like Seattle, I like the team, let me come back and just try to continue to get my rhythm back, then I could see him coming back. But aside from that, I do not foresee that happening. Joe Paulo is another guy that we were told that the injury wasn't as bad as it was, that the ACL was intact, that it was more of a knee cleaning, but we haven't seen him out on the training grounds. Brian said that he will be at training or on the field today, so we'll see where that goes. But I do not expect, we don't have a timeline right now, but I do not expect JP to be back starting or even playing partial minutes for at least another 2 weeks at the very least, at the earliest convenience. Aside from that, Hawkins seems to be ready to come back. Stefan Fry is all good and well. It's just been coach's decision to keep Thomas on goal, but I'm waiting for Steph to come back. So I'd hope that decision gets made sooner rather than later, and I would expect him to be the Minnesota option for the Seattle Sounders. But that's kind of the biggest injury updates there.
You mentioned Seattle, so I'll go ahead as one of the top teams currently in form. I'll go ahead and skip to the other action that's going on. You mentioned the purple team, and so we got to talk about the purple team and what happened with them taking on Messi and friends, and it was another case of the whooping stick coming out, and it has now seemingly forced another move with the time left in the window to try and bring in yet another central defender for Inter Miami. Looks like Piovi. If Redondo is heading to Elche, it looks like Piovi is being discussed from Cruz Azul to help them things at the back, because Lord knows they need help at the back. Orlando brings out another whooping stick, and once again, the absence of Messi plus the absence of a back line is proving issues for the Herons right now.
And the fact that Orlando is just the boogeyman for Inter Miami, I mean, it's plain and simple. Inter Miami has been unable to beat Orlando at home. I think that Orlando is one of the most talented rosters in MLS, and their DPs are collectively playing at the best form of any other team in MLS, right? When we talk about Marco Pasalic, when we talk about Martin Ojeda and Luis Muriel, who looks like the Luis Muriel that we thought we were getting a year ago, right? The Udinese Luis Muriel, the Napoli Luis Muriel. We thought that we were getting a different type of player there with Luis Muriel, and now he's playing at that level. That helps everything else out because you got Luis Enrique coming off from the bench. But it all kind of goes through Martin Ojeda. Martin Ojeda is a guy that, with Facundo Torres leaving, it was going to be his team. He was going to be the face of the attack. He was going to be that guy that was going to put it all together. And he's done fantastic. He's another guy that I felt like maybe was put in the wrong position. They tried him out right, they tried him out left, when we all knew that he should have been a 10 the whole time. And that has worked great for Orlando. So between the way they're equipped and a team that I feel like when it comes to playing in Miami, they have no fear. Actually, they want to go out there and disrespect Inter Miami consistently. It works in their advantage, man. So credit to Papi. Oscar Pereira has the team running excellent. I'd say that, they always get me, though. I'm always really high on Orlando, and they disappoint me. But you know what? It's like I'm back. I'm back on that corner. So we'll see how they do for the rest of the year. But I think that they're a team that could surprise everybody there in the playoffs. And I don't know if surprise is the word because they're red hot right now, but they just have a lot of tools in from front to back. They're just quality. They're balanced right now.
And other results that might have raised the people's eyebrow last weekend. Colorado goes to Minnesota, gets a result against the Loons, and Darren Yapi with the brace in a very short period of time. We had Matt Pollard on from Burgundy Wave to do a little Oppo research as Atlanta heads out to Colorado, but they get the win in Minnesota. San Jose beats Vancouver at home. Thomas Mueller had his grand welcoming at the airport, or actually that's tonight, I think. The grand welcoming at the airport, where basically, or it was last night. No, it's last night. That's right. It was last night, just in time for the 6:00 news in Vancouver. And literally, it's one of those things where, hey, he's at this concourse. Here's where he's getting out. No Q&A, but hey, if you want to see him take his tote bag and his carry-on down the aisle, you can certainly shoot that video. So Mueller is there. Vancouver, if they get Mueller on the same page with everybody else, that could be some filthy stuff going on there, but they lose to San Jose, and you're looking at that one. And then I think probably one of the big surprises of the weekend, All Caps beating Nashville at Energizer Park. Yeonmin Son premieres in a 2-2 draw in Bridgeview against Chicago Fire. What else stuck with you from the weekend?
From the weekend, obviously, the LAFC draw, Chicago Suns debut. I thought it was excellent. Displayed a lot of what he's going to provide for LAFC, specifically in transition. I mean, the guy has the pace, has the soccer IQ. He has the leadership to come into a game and just change it completely. I think that him and Bouanga, once they find their rhythm and once they stay away from each other's areas, because they do seem to occupy the same areas, I think they're going to be troublesome. I thought Philadelphia was disappointing, dropping points against Toronto. Seemed like they had that game under control. Obviously, they end up winning here midweek in Open Cup. But I thought that was disappointing last weekend. San Diego seems to once again want to try to be the San Diego of early this season. Obviously, it was against Sporting Kansas City, but it was good to see Chucky be involved, get a golazo, then Dreyer, not kicking people from the ground anymore and scoring some goals. And, trying to keep his MVP race alive. And then Portland, of course, that's another team that is just in ups and downs. They're obviously trying to boost up their roster, but no Santiago Moreno. Anthony's back, which is good, but that's a team that I'm still trying to decipher moving forward. And like you mentioned, Vancouver, for me, I still believe that Vancouver could put it together, that Brian White's gonna figure it out, that Mueller's gonna come help out. So we'll see what happens with Vancouver, but that was a disappointing loss against San Jose nonetheless. That late in the game, but they should have had that game.
All right, that's halftime here with our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. And so since it is halftime, before we go into cliffhanger for the matches coming up this weekend, our buddy Del Schaefer, who watches us and listens to us from Charleston, South Carolina, has a question for you, sir.
All right.
Does Niko think any of the Sounders will be picked for USMNT games, potential for Morris Ferreira or Christian to play in the World Cup? ? What do you think?
Oh, man, that is a tough question because the USMNT fan base can bark pretty hard whenever we talk about Sounders or just MLS players getting into the team.
No.
But I would say that
no, USMNT fans barking about certain players? No, come on now.
But I would say that Christian Roldan is the one and only player that I feel like could be used to just bring that midfield together. He's a very versatile player. He's probably right now the best six in MLS. I'll say that without trying to ruffle too many feathers. But you saw him in the Club World Cup. I mean, he was by far the Sounders' best player, playing against the best of the best. PSG, Atletico, Botafogo. The guy was lights out. I think that he has truly embodied that position. He's playing confident. He's playing physical. He's a guy that is going to win you most of the duels, ground duels. That he's a guy that has a very good way to contribute, pushing the ball forward. I think that a guy like Christian Roldan that is willing to be a team player and do whatever it takes to win. You could put him anywhere on the field and he's going to perform. He's going to give you 110%. I feel like he is the guy that I would, without a doubt, say needs to be in not just the conversation. I think he needs to be with the U.S. men's national team because right now, man, this team is lacking a little bit of heart. The Jimmy McGetty, right? What do you need to succeed? Right here, right? That's what you need right now. And Christian Roldan has miles and miles of heart, baby. I mean, that's what Christian has, man, is that the Shane Falco attitude, man. So I would say that out of all the players that you just mentioned, he's the one. Jesus, obviously, still trying to get his traction back. And at some point, maybe in the future, he could be a possibility. But right now, the only player that I think has a real shot to getting into the USMNT team is Christian Roldan.
Jimmy McGinty is anything but a typical coach, Pat. We know this. Follow up from Dell, assuming Jordan Morris won't go to Europe again at this point of his career. Yes, no? You think?
Oh, no. No. That ship has sailed. And it, it's unfortunate because I feel like Jordan Morris could very easily be one of the unluckiest guys that when it comes to injuries, they're just the timing of him, right? I mean, he goes to Swansea, you feel like he's gonna be able to finally break through in Europe, and he doesn't even get more than a game there before he blows up his knee. Just recently, he's catching form. He's coming from a very good 2024 season, and injury after injury, shoulder, knees, and toes. I mean, everything that you can think of has held him back. So right now, I think that Jordan Morris just wants to stay healthy, wants to be successful in his own team, and I think that's priority number one. Everything else is extra. Everything else is not necessary. I'm not going to put that sort of expectations on him, and I don't think he would on himself put that out there. I think Jordan Morris will continue to be in MLS, be successful here, and that is good for him. I think that's good enough for him. I don't think that if we were to talk to him, he's obviously always in the back of your mind to make that step in Europe and have that opportunity, but I don't think it's at the top of his priorities right now.
Yeah, and Dell obviously hoping that he wouldn't be another Landon Donovan, but right now just too many injuries, and it's coming at the worst possible times to have these kinds of things happen for Jordan. And we'll see how he continues here in Major League Soccer when he gets back to 100%. All right, it's that time. Cliffhanger. And cliffhanger. There are some matchups here where we would recommend like watching other things, like paint drying, or seeing, if you wanted to, I don't know, baste a turkey for Thanksgiving already here in the month of August. Go ahead and start now. Put cement on your driveway and go over all of the cracks just to kind of make sure that traveling in and out of your driveway and getting out of your garage can be a safe thing to do. There are a couple of those matchups this week. You can kind of guess which matchups those are. We will not be talking about those matchups. A couple of matchups are intriguing, and I'm not going to say that Messi and Friends in LAG is one of those. I think that LAG might be running into a buzzsaw, and if Messi and Friends are mad, Luis Suarez might be putting on another cowboy hat and getting on another brace. They're a minus 185. It could be a very long day for Greg Vanney on Saturday night. Red Bulls and Philly. They played last night in the Open Cup, and it went 90+8. I know that there's also, we got to keep an eye on the injury for AJ Marcucci, who had turned into kind of an Open Cup hero for Red Bulls and had gotten some spot starts for Carlos Coronel to give him a breather. They're back at it at Red Bull in Major League Soccer on Saturday night, and the Juice Boxers don't care. Each team is a plus 156. They're just kind of like, you pick, do whatever. Draws a plus 252. So it's for the second time in 4 days, these two teams will be playing each other in a different format in a different tournament. What do you think about this one at Red Bull in Harrison, New Jersey, sir?
I'm still taking Philadelphia. Red Bull started the game off hot. Obviously, they rotated. It wasn't the best team to start off. I thought Carmona had a baller of a game. I'm not just talking about the banger he had, but I thought that he was very good overall. But at the end of the day, it's all about concepts. It's all about the team that, to me, has the highest floor because they understand their system and they're going to work off of the counter, and they're going to be extremely vertical. They're going to play defense with a lot of pressure. Despite Glesnes having a horrendous game, in my opinion, I thought Glesnes was bad against the Red Bulls in this Open Cup game. But even there, I feel like Philadelphia understand and knows how to play the Red Bulls. And sure, Forsberg's going to make a difference, and Motochop is going to, Choupo-Moting is going to make a difference, just as he did in this one as soon as he came on the field. I feel like Philadelphia is where I would put my eggs in that basket. I do think that it won't be as high scoring as this one, but I think that Philadelphia will end up taking that game.
All right, let's go to yours. Seattle at Minnesota. Seattle is a plus 210 dog going to Minnesota. Minnesota coming off of the loss to Colorado at home a week ago. Draws a plus 257. Minnesota's a plus 116. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I'm taking the draw. The numbers were interesting to pick the Sounders because they are obviously in very good form. But the way I look at this game with Puebla being the most important game for the Seattle Sounders because they want to get that opportunity to get a spot in Champions Cup, of course. They want to be able to continue that run in Leagues Cup. That's going to be the priority. I do feel like Seattle is going to try some of the things that Colorado did to take Minnesota off their own game. I don't know if you saw that game, but Colorado just conceded possession in Minnesota, and they said, look, you're the kings of counter. How about we try it, right? So it was a little...
This is, it reminds me of when Atlanta United played Red Bulls in the playoffs and basically told Chris Armas, look, fine, you don't want possession, but we're going to give it to you anyway. We're just going to kick it long and have you build. Look, you think the ball's got cooties now, you're going to have to play with it and you're going to have to build with it. And it turned out to be a tactical error by Armas in that match. Atlanta United gets a lead and everything's fine. So Atlanta United flipped the script on Armas once before to do something like that. So the irony was interesting for me that you mentioned. Armas is just kind of like, well, Loons, you don't like possession? Well, here, we're going to force you to possess the ball and go for it.
I think Seattle will do the exact same thing. You know, they're gonna play defensively. They have the weapons to do so. They could definitely probably maybe even mirror them a little bit, maybe play with 3 in the back and use their high motor guys to make it difficult for Minnesota to be comfortable enough, be able to beat them off the counter, expose the flanks, try to get behind their back line at moments and times. But I feel like Seattle is really going to concede possession. So to me, it's not necessarily their game. They're a possession-based team, but I like the nuance of what we just talked about, kind of flipping the script. But I still think that it's going to be more of a draw in this one. I don't feel confident enough to put Seattle in that range of winning the game. I mean, it wouldn't shock me, it wouldn't surprise me, but I feel safer with the draw in this one.
All right, Atlanta's at Colorado right now. Colorado a plus 117. Atlanta's a plus 191. Draws a plus 280. What about Atlanta on the road?
Yeah, no, I like Colorado. You know,
heavy sigh. I like Colorado.
Yeah, man, that's tough. I think Colorado just has the weapons. I love what we're getting out of Navajo. Yappy seems to be also getting into form. The midfield for Colorado, when they're at their best, because they do tend to not be consistent, but when they're at their best, Colorado is just a better collective unit right now. Atlanta, as much as it, you know, I have a soft spot for Atlanta, but I just don't think that right now they have it's not even the talent. It's just they don't have the current form to beat a team like Colorado. With Colorado, you're going to have to be able to restrict them. You're going to have to make them play your game and follow your tempo. And I feel like that's something that we haven't seen out of Atlanta. And that's why I just don't think that they can do this one. I don't know what the numbers are here, but I would say it's probably going to be a low scoring game and Colorado wins the game.
All right. So news out of New England. It is right at 11 o'clock. New England has waived Maxi Urruti and Luis Diaz this morning. Urruti, 34, 2 goals over 20 matches, including 5 starts. Diaz, 26, 19 matches, 1 start, 1 assist. So New England trying to do a little housekeeping before there's a week left in the window. So the Reds waiving.
Somebody will pick up Urruti. Everybody needs a Urruti cameo.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
everybody he just has a way to get in everywhere. He's like light, you know, he's always getting in somewhere.
No doubt about it. All right, what's going on with you and Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart and the Providence and Swedish sandwich shop and delicatessen? What's going on this week?
Yeah, we will be back there here in probably an hour, just to see where the team is at. I'm very curious about where Joe Paulo is mentally, physically. You know, I did get to talk to him a little bit off the mics yesterday. He seems to be in good spirits, but, you know, I'm ready to see him there on the field. I want to know what's going on with the Stephen Fry and Andrew Thomas situation. As much as Andrew has been very good, I still think that this is Steph's team and he needs to be in there unless he doesn't want to. And that's, I don't know, we haven't had a chance to talk to Steph. He looks like he's ready to go. He's been practicing. But, you know, is there something that maybe is keeping him from the field? We'll look into that. So today, definitely check out Pulso Sports. We'll have whoever we're able to talk to. I am working on a little one-on-one with Pedro de la Vega just to check on him as well. The moment he's on, he's been balling out of control, but he hasn't had the easiest transition to MLS to the Sounders. So go ahead and wait for that. So as always, Friday, it's what we learned this week with Jeremiah Oshan. Check that out at Sandra Hart and the No Sarietas and the Sandra Hart Podcast Network. On Monday, of course, we'll do Lobby's Culture Kickoff with our Lillenwall, and then everything that comes about today, of course, at Pulso Sports. And hey, man, make sure that we hit up some of these games, man, because we've been pretty good, at least with the Sounders. We've been very good. I did very well, if I may say so myself, taking the Sounders and taking the 3.5 there last weekend. And so, we're in there.
You are in there without question, sir. As always, it's always great to wrap up our Thursdays with you and find out what's on your brain and get the education about everything going on out there in the Western Conference, where the West Coast is the best coast. At least that's what I was growing up to see. Oh, he's got the Wazoo mug. He's ready to go. And college football season just around the corner, too. We got to keep an eye on what's going on in the Palouse. As always, my friend, love you very much. We will catch up with you soon. Have a great week, and may everything stick to the discs and the cards and all the stories come out right. We'll see you soon.
My man.
All right. And there goes Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports on his second cup of coffee. And he's got the Palouse mug and everything. So remember, light to the left, light to the right, fill underneath. If you want to find a way, it's 2 or 3 lights, one on each side. If the second one bounces to cover up what's going on here, you can get away with it. So 2, if not 3 lights around to counteract what's going on, so you don't have the darkness coming on with the key light up top. So that's your quest. That's Niko's quest when it comes to building a studio space. We're going to keep an eye on all of that. So that was the biggest piece of news that came across. The waiving of 2 players by New England Revolution. Once again, you got about a week left in the secondary transfer market, and you've got to see if there's anything else that needs to be navigated. Doug Robertson of the AJC mentions this morning that Derek Williams was not at practice at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. And according to Doug, and I'm going to, we're going to go through this now. Nothing like trying to load information and then it doesn't want to load for you. Fantastic. Something went wrong. Retry. Okay. So, all right. So here is, I'm going to find it this way. I'm going to go here. And I'm going to go backward, and I'm going to use, I don't know why it's being moody all of a sudden. Cannot retrieve posts at this time. Follow back later. Okay. So paraphrasing from Doug, I don't know why this is, but anyway, paraphrasing from Doug this morning, apparently Derek Williams was not at practice at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground because of an impending transaction. So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. So that's so 15 seconds later. Williams isn't training because it's a pending transaction, according to a person with knowledge. So that's according to Doug Robertson of the AJC. So that is the rundown of today. Tomorrow, remember, it is Marcelo Balboa joining us at 10 o'clock. We'll find out what it's going to be like and if he has his own bobblehead. We'll find out about that. So Matt Pollard, Burgundy Wave, did not have one. We'll see if Cello has one. We'll find out about it as the bobblehead saga continues. Atlanta United heading out to Colorado this weekend, and we'll get you ready for that matchup. We'll talk to Cello about that. We'll talk about the Rapids, talk about his time there, talk about the bobblehead, get you ready for the weekend. Any other news and notes, and we'll go through all of the juice boxes tomorrow. Probably don't know if it's going to be early or late. You'll get to hear from Jose Silva, the head coach of Atlanta United 2, because they've got a home match on Sunday against Crown Legacy, a big home match as they are racing to get into the playoffs in MLS Next Pro with matches in hand. So they take care of business with matches in hand. They're right there. And then they got to take care of more business here on the run-in MLS Next Pro. So Jose Silva at some point tomorrow. Maybe we'll catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring as kids are heading into school, either Messer Parkhurst or Messer Garza. And Marcelo Balboa at 10 o'clock. That is going to be tomorrow here on the network. And thanks to all of you folks that get to hang out with us 24/7, 365 here in Season 8 of SDH. We could not do it without you. And without all of this, we could not be recognized by folks like Football Content Awards and Sports Podcast Awards as being a finalist and going up against some folks named Kelsey, that kind of stuff. We could not do this without you. We could not grow this network without you. And for that, we are eternally grateful. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by. We'll be back in a little less than 22. Since it is the end of the show, means we get to do this. Play it safe, everybody. Back at it again Friday morning for the end of another week here on SDH AM. See you later.